Hi guys, and a Merry Christmas to you all. It's Christmas Eve and I'm off to a shop where I usually get my frames from indoors, because I ran out, and the other day I was out, a couple of days ago, I was out and about on the streets taking some photographs. I wasn't vlogging, I was just out with a camera while my wife was shopping. I thought I'd take the camera, you know, just in case I slipped off out of the shops and went for a walk, which I did. I took out with me a Nikon FM3A and an 80mm lens, and also an expired roll of an old classic Kodak black and white 400 film, which was kindly sent to me by my friend Julie Devonport. And Julie, if you're watching, it's a great film. Anyway, so it's a bit of an unusual concoction for me for street photography, an 80mm lens. I don't usually shoot that. I usually go for a 28 if I'm on the streets, or a 50. And I found the 80mm really good. I actually enjoyed shooting it on the street. But I wasn't looking for, you know, just snapping away at people. But when I got into the town, there was like this Christmas market going on, and I stumbled across a few interesting faces. And there was this really interesting looking chap that I saw as I was walking past through the high street, and I stopped and I said, "Excuse me sir," I said, "would you mind if I take a photograph of you?" I said, "Your moustache is fantastic." And he said, "Oh yeah, of course you can." So I put him on against this little background, which was only a few feet away from where he was, and I didn't waste his time. I took two shots, one sort of mid-length and one up close. And we got chatting because he noticed I was shooting film, because you didn't see the screen on the back of the camera. And that's one of the beautiful things about shooting film when you're out and about, is if you stumble across any old school film shooters, they'll instantly know that you're not shooting digital. They'll look at the camera. So we got chatting, and it turns out that he used to teach film photography. And so we got chatting about film and development and stuff like that. It was quite an interesting chat, and I got his email address and I sent him those two photographs. And I've invited him out. He hasn't been in the area that long apparently, and I've invited him out with a couple of the guys that I go out shooting film with. So whether he does come or not, if he does, it'll be interesting to have a chat with him. But on my walk, I stumbled across this fantastic car, and this is what's leading me to go and get this frame today. I stumbled across this old Volvo Amazon. I knew I wanted to take photographs of it, so I started looking at angles. And one thing I didn't want, straight away I just thought to myself, I'd like to keep this timeless. I don't want anything in this shot that's going to give it away that we're in 2024, soon to be 25. So I looked around for angles, and I saw a couple of nice angles that I took photographs of. I'll show you those pictures now, and you can see that I was trying my hardest to try and keep anything out of the shot that represented this time and age, you know. And one of the photographs I took was side on. I noticed the car had a beautiful curve at the back, lovely curve at the back, and lines as well. And in the background against the wall, that also had lines too. So I composed this photograph with lines, all parallel lines going across. And I thought it looked quite nice. And when I developed the film and saw the negative and did a couple of scans, I thought I really do want to get that printed. I just thought it was a nice photograph. And the other one as well, I think where I was close up on the windscreen, that looked nice too. So there's two prints that I want to make of this car, and they're only going to be for me. I don't even know who owns the car. So if it's your car, let me know. Don't lie though. If it's your car, let me know. As for the film that I was shooting, that Kodak B&W C400, I think it's called, I knew it's a C41 film. It's a little bit like Ilford's XP2, which is designed to be, or made to be, developed in C41 process, the colour process. But I developed it in black and white chemicals. Why not? This is why I shoot film. I enjoy experimenting, I enjoy playing around. If I don't get the results I want, oh well, so be it. And I developed this film in a developer that I'm testing at the moment for someone. I can't say too much about it, but so I'm not going to bang on about the developer. I developed it in black and white chemicals anyway, and I winged it. I winged the time. I just went rotary process for 14 minutes. I thought we'll see what happens, and they come out absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to perform in the darkroom, which also brings me on to the Phoenix Ilford Harman Phoenix film. Thinking to myself, do you know what, I've got a couple of rolls of that, I might shoot one of those and stick it in black and white chemicals and see how that comes out. That'll be interesting, because that's got a different base altogether. So I'll be interested to see if what I can do with Phoenix and see if that comes out in black and white films. What's the point, you might think? Just develop it in C41? Well, film's there for us to experiment with. Developers there for us to experiment and play with and see what happens. And that's the fun with film, is all the experimentations you can do. So we'll soon see with that. But I'm off now to get this frame, and we'll get back. We'll get in the darkroom, and we'll see how this print comes out. I'm not even taking the negative in the darkroom yet. I've not even warmed the darkroom up. As you know, my darkroom's a shed in the garden. It gets a bit cold this time of year, and a little bit damp as well. And here we are here. This is the shop I'm going to, Dunhill Mill. They do some nice frames. Let's see if I can get parked though. This will be a laugh. Oh, there's a space right there. What a result. Lovely jubbly. Lovely jubbly. This is the size I want, but in black. I want it black. Black. Yes. I'll get 2 of those. £7 each. Look at them. That'll be perfect size. So I'm back, I'm in the darkroom. There's the frame that I bought. What I'm going to do, instead of using the darkroom, the larger easel for putting my print, I'm going to actually take the mat out of this frame and put that down and put the paper underneath the mat. That way I've got exactly the same size for this frame when I do my printing. And there's the mat board there, so I'll put that there and use my paper underneath that, use that as my easel. Just got some weights to weight it down, and we should get exactly the same size for our frame. And there's the negatives there from that Kodak film. The one that I want to print is right there, and the other one is there right next to it. So I've got 2 that I want to make a print of. And some people might cry and whinge and moan and say, oh, you should have developed it in C41. No, I shouldn't. I do what I like. This is what I've done with these films, and they've come out looking really nice. And it's all experimental and playing around and having fun with film. The beauty I love about these sort of photographs, as opposed to landscapes, if there's any sort of dust or anything like that on the negative, anything trapped in the emulsion, I don't mind that on these street photographs. It kind of adds to the aesthetics, if you like. It's not an excuse. I don't mind it, as long as it ain't too bad, you know. Right, that's the negative inside the carrier. So I've got the right size. I now want to try and put a slight white border around the edge. So that's the edge. I've got the whole negative sitting inside that mount. I've got a slightly heavier border at the bottom. So the way I'm making this image work is by placing it inside that mount with a little bit of stuff at the bottom if I want to do any signage or any limited edition stuff like that, and that will fit nicely in that frame. I think I'm about there. Now what I've got to do is make a hinge on the mat itself using some tape. So I've got a slight hinge to lift up, and now I've got the position right. Just used to make a little hinge. I don't want to ruin the mount, so just slightly off the edge there, and one on the other side, like so. I used to do this a lot before I had bigger easels. I used to do this a lot of the time and make my own mounts as well. If any of you guys remember, I've had this channel since what, 2017, so when I was in the darkroom then, I'd make a lot of mounts out of cardboard, and it always worked really well, sometimes too well. Right, and there's my hinge. Nice. So I'm just going to use my focus finder. I'm going to put a little piece of paper down. This is exactly the same thickness as the paper I'm using, exactly the same paper, and there's the grain there. If I take that paper away, I'm still seeing the grain pretty much the same. In fact, I can't see any difference whether that's changing anything or not, but always best to do that. And let's do some test prints. I've got the enlarger aperture at f4. Just going to bring that down a couple of stops to f8. Now we can do some tests. And I'm going to go straight across the middle, so I've got the wall and the car. And we'll do our tests now. And this will give me a time for my final print to be. So we're starting off a base time at 10 seconds. This is f-stop timing, so same sort of thing as seconds, but just works out in fractions of seconds instead. Let's go. I've got 2.5 grade filter I need to put underneath there. There it goes. And now I'll just do my increments, and then once this little test strip is developed and hanging out to dry, I should be able to see my range of tones for the time that I'm using under the enlarger, which will give me a good time to work with when I make the actual print. Sometimes when I'm pretty confident with a negative, I won't do these tests. If I think to myself, I know that's going to be 5 seconds or 7 seconds, 10 seconds, I'll just put a piece of paper underneath and then hit it for 5 or 7 seconds or whatever. And then from there I can decide if I need to, you know, expose a couple of seconds longer or knock a couple of seconds off. So I'm treating this negative as a normal neg. Now notice nothing really is coming through. I need a lot longer times with this neg because it's a lot denser than a normal panchromatic film. So we're going to have to do another test strip. So because that test strip didn't work, I'm going to go straight in. I'm going to bring the aperture right open to f4. And I'm literally going to wing this. So I'm going to leave a piece of paper there for 30 seconds, or just under 30 seconds, 28.2 to be exact, and I'll see how that works. Off it goes. I won't let you wait. I'll show you that image, or I'll show you the test print now, what it looks like. So I took a test strip and I split it in two, and this one I just put under the enlarger for nearly 30 seconds, and this one 40 seconds. I knew that this was going to be, after I saw it, I thought I need to go a little bit longer, so I went for 40 seconds, and that's still not long enough. It's nearly there, but I think I can go maybe for another 20 seconds. So I'm going to go for a whole minute under the enlarger with one more test strip, and hopefully I'll have the ideal time for my final print. We'll come to 60, 59.9, that's close enough. So I'm going to do one large test strip, and if this works fine, then that means that the other negative I've got, which was shot in the same light, is going to be exactly the same, or nearabouts. So let's go right from the wheel all the way up to the corner there, and we'll do that for an extra 20 seconds from the last test strip. And there is that test strip at 1 minute. So we've got, what did I say, nearly 30 seconds, 40 seconds and 1 whole minute. So that whole minute certainly got me a little bit darker. I'm not sure about the highlights on the building. There's some window sills. They may be a little bit blown out, I'm not sure, which I'll have to look at in a moment. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for a full print. And also what I'm going to do, see this wheel here? I want to dodge that wheel. For about, I'm going to probably dodge the underside of the car actually, just this side here. Yeah, I'm going to do that, just the bottom side of the car for about 20 seconds during that 1 minute, just so that it doesn't get light for 20 seconds. So the whole of it gets 1 minute, but this part only gets 40 seconds, a little bit like this here. I think that might work. That'll do. And I've got some little corner weights that I'll just place down like so, just to keep that mat nice and flat. So 1 minute, and then I'm going to dodge the car for about 20 seconds of that, so I start the dodging straight away. 1. So you can see I'm just covering the bottom of the car for about 20 seconds. And I'm moving it up and down. I'm using a pen actually, and I'm moving it up and down so that it's not it blends in rather than just sits there, otherwise you'll see a shape of a pen, which is no good. And into the developer. So I'll let you start seeing it come through. I'll probably speed the video up a little bit until it starts coming through. But this is the magic of the darkroom. It always fascinates me just watching my image, you know, coming through on the paper. So I left that in there for a couple of minutes to fully develop. I was hoping that I'd build a little bit more of the highlights up on the window sills, but that's not to be. Will I go for another print and try and burn those highlights in? Probably not. Let's see how it comes out. That's the stop bath. It's not going to develop any longer than it already has. I think I've hit D-max, which is the maximum black this paper will go. Into the fixer, so I'll give that a good fix. I actually really like this photograph too. I'm glad I stumbled across it. And there it is. If you're wondering what these bubbles are, guys, this isn't rinse aid, this is a little bit of dishwasher soap, but it just helps, I find, my prints to come out without any spots or streaks on. You can buy the rinse aid, but I haven't got any, so I'm using a little bit of dish soap, and that has come out really nice. What do you guys think? Let's get it dry, we'll hang up. I'm not going to worry about the highlights in the background, doesn't bother me at all. And there is my print, which will fit perfectly in that frame. I really do like this. So it has come out really nice. I really do like it. A little tiny Merry Christmas card in the window, which I did notice, not when I took the photograph, I noticed that after I'd scanned the image. I like it a lot, but I just feel like I've fainted this too much down here. There's not enough darkness down there, so under the wheel arch that needs to be a little bit darker. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it under the enlarger this time for 1.5 minutes, quite a long time. I'm going to let the top part go for 1.5 minutes, so the top of the car here can burn in a little bit more, and then I'm going to dodge this area here for 30 seconds. So in effect this top part gets 1.5 minutes and this only gets 1 minute, and that will be my final print. I'm not going to mess around anything else other than that. So both prints are now dry. I'll show you this one. Oh, there it is there, look, I can show you it. That's the one I like, that's the one that's going to go in the frame. Real simple to do, a little bit of framer's tape on the back of the print like so. And now I can put the mat over the top. Just make sure, hopefully I can align it right. About right. We get our plastic glass frame, stick that in there like so. Just make sure there's no crap around the mount, a tiny bit down there. The trouble is with this plastic frame as well is that it can easily attract, because of the friction, it attracts little tiny bits of crap. But we'll put the original insert in the back. Put the back in, which has already got little hooks for the wall, but I don't use hooks, I use Velcro strips to put onto the wall. Saves me nailing into the wall. And I can take them off whenever I like and reframe. And I'll probably reframe this one. Give it maybe a few months time, I'll have a change around with some different prints. And there is my framed print photograph I took a few days ago. Just by accident I stumbled across that car, took the picture, liked it, printed it, framed it. I think it looks quite nice, and you wouldn't even guess what year that was either. You could just almost say that, yeah, that was in the 1970s or whatever that car was. 1960s, 70s? I don't know. Yeah, so I'm really happy with the way, get that light shining off it, I'm really happy with the way that the prints turned out, bearing in mind that was a C41 chemical processed film, and I dumped it in black and white just to be different and see what happens, and it's come out looking really nice. I like the composition that I did as well. I'll quickly explain that to you. I was looking around that car like I told you, and I was looking for compositions. I didn't want anything in the background that looked modern day, you know, nothing that would, you know, someone walking past with a Nike pair of trainers or whatever, or a modern day pram or what, you know. So I was looking for compositions, and then when I got to the side of the car, I noticed the lines on the wall. I've got the curb, I've got the back of the curb, I've got this plinth or whatever it is, skirt concrete board underneath the brickwork. I've got the lines of the brickwork, the lines of the window frames as well, and also the lines of the car with a little bit of symmetry as well, with a little bit circular of the wheels and the wheel arch. And I thought that's a really nice composition, so I aimed up and took the shot. That was on an 80mm lens. If I was on a 28mm lens, for example, something a little bit wider, or maybe a 50, there's lines just under here from the road markings that come under as well, where the car's, you know, the grid lines for the car to be parked in. I would have got that in the frame too, but I couldn't get all of it in with that 80mm lens. So I was literally back to the wall, the other side of the road, to get that shot. And I'm really glad, well, really pleased the way it's come out. And like I said, I think the composition works really well. And the other photographs that I took of the car, again, I was just looking to get details of the car. Not so much that you know what the car is, but just, you know, it's old, it looks rusty, it looks, you know, pretty cool, and not try and get anything modern day in the background. And that's what I did there. And the other print, which is now dry, you can see that's the other photograph, one of the other photographs that I took with the wing mirror and the windscreen wipers, the big windscreen there. It all looks old. And you know, I think I shot this at 5.6, and I did a quick depth of field check as well, just to make sure that the background wasn't going to be too in focus, and it wasn't. I knew that anyway, but it was always best to have a little check. And that came out looking really nice as well. I'm not sure if I'll frame that one. There is another one that I might frame instead, but that first one is definitely going to be left in that frame for some time until I get bored and change it over. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. It's Christmas Eve, and I just want to wish every single one of you a happy Christmas, happy holidays, and a great new year. Whatever you're up to, be safe. And also to say a massive thank you to many of you that subscribe to the channel, like the videos that I make, comment, give me advice, help me and help others in the film community as well. And a special thank you to all the guys that support the channel on Patreon and also the YouTube members area, and all you guys that have bought me coffees over the years to help me keep the channel going with paper, film and chemicals, etc. I really do appreciate it. You guys are great, and thanks very much indeed. Have a great time, be safe. I'll catch you probably next year. I don't know, I might make one in between then. See you later.